Comic Club, Read and Review, Die, Volume 1, Issue 4. Let's go! Hello, welcome to Comic Club. My name is Scott. We are currently reading through Die, Volume 1, Fantasy Heartbreaker. And today we're going through Issue 4. Now, I'm really enjoying this. We've only got 2 issues left, this one and next week, so Issue 5, Chapter 5. And I'm really enjoying it. It's not, like I've said previously, like art isn't exactly how I prefer to see it, but I'm really enjoying it. I'm getting used to it. It's really nice, and overall the story is getting there, and I'm really enjoying it. So what happened last week? So what did we have? It was more of an emotional issue, especially in terms of us getting to know Ash a bit more, and more about how some of the other characters, specifically Isabel and Matt, how they react to certain situations, and we're learning more about them. So that's really cool. So hopefully in the future we'll be able to see more of what's his name, Chuck, and Ash's sister Angela. We'll be able to see more of them, and see, like, in terms of how they react to things, and just how they react to things emotionally and physically. So that's what I'm hoping to find out in the next couple of issues. We also found out, and we met a bad guy. I don't know what his name is yet, but he seems like an elf. He seems like a sorcerer elf. That's all we've got, and he seems to be in control of a group of people. That's all I know so far. That's all I can tell. But what am I hoping for this issue? Like I said, I'm hoping for a bit more of an emotional reaction from Angela or Chuck. But apart from that, I mean, the action's been great. I'm hoping for more action. I'm hoping for the characters to demonstrate their abilities more. And I'm hoping that they're able to get a bit closer to finding Solomon, and there'd be some sort of inkling into what happens in terms of them all getting home. So we've got two issues to find all that out. So I hope that we do. Okay, but that's it. Like, I'm not hoping for loads. I'm just hoping for some more progression in the story and some cool abilities. That's all I'm hoping for. So okay, I'm gonna go ahead. If you've got the book, do read along with me and let me know in the comments what you think. Make sure to subscribe the video, like the video, press the notification bell, share it with your friends, and that's it. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and read this now. This is chapter 4, and it's called The Inn. There's a little quotation at the start of every chapter here. You can just see it there. I'll read this out, and then I'll go ahead. So it says, "It is not easy to dismiss from my imagination the images which have filled it so long." From Charlotte Bronte. That's pretty good. Okay, right. I'm going to read this, and I'll speak to you soon. Whoa. Right, this issue was great. It wasn't what I was expecting or hoping for, but I really enjoyed it nonetheless. This was an issue where it kind of delves into Isabel and Matt and Angela a little bit more. It was the kind of thing where they got to the town they needed to be. So they got to Glass Town, and this is the town where Sol is in charge. He's the king, and he's basically made a gigantic glass D20 over this town, and only people who are allowed in. There are no doors, but if people allow you to come in, you can go in. So we start off, we're at Glasstown trying to get in, Isabel is really injured and she needs to get to a church or what's the other word? Let's just say a church. She needs to get to a church to kind of pay her debts and get healed and all that kind of thing. So eventually someone finds them at the barrier, and it's like a guard, and he says that he realizes that the team, they're called the Paragons, which is the first time we've heard this. So he says, it's them, the Paragons, open up. So then as soon as they get in, there are like people are cheering, throwing like petals and confetti everywhere to kind of like celebrate that they're here. And they weren't aware that they would be celebrated in this kind of area because they've never been here before. So they realise that a lot of people are on Solomon's side here, so they're trying to get to him. They're trying to talk to him, meet him, and get to him in a place called 20. That's what the place is called that they're trying to get to. This is where Sol is. He's in a place called 20, and we're trying to get there. So they ask someone who works for Solomon to like try and get everyone there, and he goes away, but he also takes Isabel to where does it say? She says a temple. That's the word I was looking for. So she needs to get to the Temple of Mona. So he takes her to the Temple of Mona, and then everyone else just goes to a pub. And then this is where the kind of emotional side of things start to happen. And I did get a little bit emotional. So what happens is that everyone's having a drink, and like some dwarves come over to meet the Paragons. It'll be an honour to drink with them. And so they sit down and they have a drink and they exchange some stories. But before that happens, Isabel gets to the temple and she speaks to, I think it's the goddess of woe. I think it is. Maybe a different one. Let's see. Maybe it's the Temple of the Mourner. That's where she's gone. So anyway, so I'm going to put this little panel here in the arty part. It's a really nice, dark but colourful panel, and I really like the way it's kind of like mystical, ethereal. Nice, it's good. So I'll show you guys that. So basically she doesn't have to. Well, she does have to. So quickly, the goddess heals her instantly, and everyone's going, "Oh my god, it's a miracle!" But first, you've got to do something for me. You've got to go and walk into that room over there. So she does so, and she sees a group of people just sitting there in like a church. Everyone's all sitting in their pews, and there's just a book stand, a stand with a book on it for her to read. And she starts reading, and she starts reading, and she says, "I was cruel. I have only shame. And then she realizes that she's reading from her own diary. So it's really cool to see this. How did her diary get into this game? Was it Sol that did it? Did Sol manage to find and drag her diary into Die World? Or was it her? Was it something else? I'm hoping we find out in the future. But for her to pay her debts to this goddess, she has to read her diary to all of these people because they see it as wisdom, and they think that her words will save everyone, which is nice. But also, I can imagine that to be quite traumatic and quite hard for Isabel to go through. But that's what she did. That's what she had to do to get even and to heal herself in the end. So in the future, if she has to go through stuff like this again, then I imagine she might think twice about using her powers if she doesn't want to be traumatized by her own past or do something else that's bad in the future. But we'll see. So then next up, we see the dwarves and things telling stories about the world. So we're learning more about the lore of the planet, of the world that we're in. And that was really good. I won't talk about that, but you can read it if you want. It's only 2 pages, but it's nice. It's that little bit of information going on. Really sorry about the music if you can hear it there. So, and then we go on to next. Was it one of the dwarves asks Matt, the Grief Knight, to tell them a story, as in like, what's the bravest you've ever been? So he doesn't talk about anything in the Die world in particular. What he does talk about is him losing his mother from a surgery that statistically only 1 in 100,000 people would die. She was the one, and so he kind of talks about that, and then he goes on to how his daughter was in surgery, and how the bravest thing he had to do there was to keep happy and to keep her happy, and don't show her that he's kind of breaking apart and really struggling to get through this. But he was saying that, like, if I wasn't brave when she died, the last thing I ever did would have made sure that she left the world petrified. So, by the looks of it, by what it sounds like, she didn't die. And yeah, it sounds like quite a nice... It's strong for someone to be like that when someone is in hospital with like a really bad illness, or really like a terminal illness, or any like cancer or anything like that. So for him to be brave and optimistic around her is really good. And then there's a little thing that touches on the fact that they speak to Ash, and they're like, Ash, you're a woman, like you're a man in real life. Why is it when you come to this world you're a woman and you're interested in men, but nothing of the sort happens on Earth? So that question was risen, but then shut down really quickly. There were no answers to it really. Ash being the diplomat of the group, she can talk her way out of anything pretty much, so she does, and then she turns the attention to Angela, which is a bit I really like this bit. I've got a bit of a soft spot for animals, so I did enjoy this bit. So basically Angela is in her own head a lot. She's worried about the real world. Like, in the real world she hasn't got an arm, but she's got her robot arm in this world. She's worried about her kids, her ex-husband, her current girlfriend, and things like that. So all these things, even though they're in this world trying to do this mission, they still have their own problems in the real world, which is really good to think about at the same time. It's not just everyone goes into a world, everything's happy and cool, everything goes back and it's normal. It's not like that. Stuff is happening in the background in the real world. But she's upset at the fact that every time she uses her Neo powers, her cyberpunk powers, there's one that she hasn't used. She's used everything else, but there's one that she hasn't used. And she says, what does it say? She says, if I don't get fair gold every day, I'll have to watch him die again. I want him so badly, just more time. But oh God, I should try it. I should. So someone gives her fair gold. Someone from the pub, and he's like, to give my fair gold to a paragon like you is an honor. So he gives her the gold, and then her systems activate, and then she uses a power, and this sort of like robot dog just appears, and she's so happy, she's crying, she's hugging the dog. His name is Case, and she's like, even though this is a really small thing, she is so happy that this has happened. And then to break all this up, the man who we spoke to at the beginning to go and see if Sol was available, he comes back and he says that all of the paths the route to the Grandmaster, to Sol, has been closed. They've checked all the other paths, but there is one way, and it's the most perilous way. Of course it is. This is a role-playing game, and it's not straight. It's never straightforward. Okay, there's always going to be a hard way to get there and a tough way, and they've got to work their way through. But what they have to do, their mission, is to get 3 keys. Okay. Where does it say? So 3 keys in the bottom of 3 dungeons, each guarded by 12 perils. So this is their new mission, given to them by Sol. They've got to get 3 keys and go to 3 dungeons and defeat 12 things, pretty much. But they're not happy about that because they have all these real things happening in the real world in the background. They've got to try and think around it, and Ash has the idea. What does she say? So people are complaining, so she just says then we should just stop playing Sol's game. We can't beat him in 20, so fine. Look at Glasstown, he's worked so hard on it. And then she says, I bet he'll come to us if we destroy it. And that's the end of the issue. The picture there is quite cool. I'll put that in the arty part. But really enjoyed that. So, okay. So story-wise, I'm going to go for some ratings now. So story-wise, what happens? So there's a lot of little stories for each character. Really enjoyed it. There's a lot of growth in most of the characters, apart from Chuck. Yeah, overall, I'm going to give the story an 8. Art, some really nice panels in here. Everything's drawn really well. A lot of colours. Again, it's like dark where it needs to be, colourful also where it needs to be. And it's just nice, the contrast of the dark areas and the colourful areas, how they depict memories. So here you got Matt's memories there, they're all in purple. That's quite nice. It's easy for us as a reader to jump back and forth between where they are now and the past. And just you know, even though they're in a pub, they still make it look nice. It's drawn really well. Emotion is there, detail is there. You know, like when Angela gets Case, gets her dog, she's so happy. You can see that she's crying. And it's just, yeah, I really enjoyed that. So overall, I'm going to give art an 8, and especially with the last page, that kind of ominous, like, you know, I mean business kind of thing. And this page as well. This is Glasstown. This is like the giant D20 over the town. Like that a lot. So yeah, I'm gonna give that an 8. No, 8.5. That's what we'll do. We'll give it an 8.5. And then the development of the story. Not much development of the story, but there's a lot of development to the characters. Well, there's not really even that much development. It was more past. It was more, you know, we get introduced to a new town at the beginning, and pretty much everyone just has to wait around. So they're filling time with stories and past experiences and things like that. So I wouldn't say there isn't a lot of development in this, but we do learn a lot. That's why the story has got a high score. So yeah, so in terms of the development of it all we've had is them get to a town, go to a pub, share some stories, and then get told that they can't go to see Solomon, and then they decide to destroy the town that they're in. That's it. So not a lot. Okay, so I'm gonna give that a 6. So 8 for story, 8.5 for art, and 6 for development. It's not a bad thing. It's just because not a lot development happens. It's just because you know, they're set. It looks like they're setting up. You know, there is one more issue left. Yeah, there is one more issue left. So this is pretty much sounds like it's going to be a setup. If they're planning on destroying Glasstown, then this is the setup for this next issue, and it should be big. So yeah, so that's all. Okay, so we're going to go into the arty part now. I'm going to show you some panels that I enjoyed, and then we'll come back and then we'll finish off. Okay, here we go. thank you so much for watching. That's been me for the end of this video. This has been Die Volume 1, titled Fantasy Heartbreaker. We read issue 4, and we're going to be doing the final one, issue 5, next week, chapter 5. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe, please like it, hit the notification bell, share it with your friends, and please follow my Instagram page, Scott's Shelf, and follow my Twitter page, Scott's Shelf YT. Okay, that's been it from me. Hope you've enjoyed. Hope you come back next week. If there's anything that you wanted to say about this book, either this issue or previous issues, please leave a comment and we'll get some conversations going. Okay, thanks a lot, guys. See you next week. Bye.